so now that yesterday, we have seen that, how, we can deviate our flow or a process, from one part to another path, and that we have seen it with the help of decision, we can do that. So yesterday we have seen the two type of decision rules, when rule and the decision table. So today we'll see it what is decision tree and what is decision map. So same thing, we'll try to do same functionality. We'll try to do it with that these two rules. Okay, so decision tree basically if if you have, let's say, same sets of property that you have, same sets of properties that you want to evaluate, then basically you can go ahead with this decision table. So and for decision tree is different sets of properties that you have. Like for example, or for example, let's say our department is equals to the department is equals to IT. Then in IT department also, if the technology is equals to technology is equals to PEGA, Java, Python, C, C++, and then if department is equals to admin, and then sub department is equals to transportation, canteen department, something like that. So wherein which decision table won't help us to do that. We cannot have a sub conditions there in the decision table. So all that we can check is okay, if the department is equals to IT, okay, we can just perform that. But if you have a different set of properties that you have it, you can go ahead with this decision tree. So we'll see that how can we create that. So already we have seen yesterday that our decision rules basically comes under a decision category. So sorry, here in this decision category that we have it. Okay, so yesterday we have created decision table and a when rule. So today we'll create another type of a rule which is called as a decision tree. Okay, so now we'll see evaluate, approve, reject. Okay, so this is how that your decision tree looks like. So now so now you can just click here. So now you can see, if you just click here, then you can just add a property here. So the property name, I'll take it from here. Okay, if let's say this is the property name is equals to, let's say, approve, then then I have to return yes. Otherwise, I can return no, or else I can add one more condition, I can say, okay, no, if let's say if this property is equals to reject, then then I have to return a no, and or otherwise you can say continue. Otherwise, let's say continue means as you can see here, sub condition got added. That means if rejected, but I want to see that, okay, if the loan amount is if let's say the manager has rejected it, but the loan amount is less than 1 lakh rupees, but then also we should approve it, like that. So anything that you can do it, if let's say, or if it's already the home loan is there, but of course the manager rejected it, but the civil score is too high, it's the civil score is very good, that particular customer, then also we can give that. So something, we can do that. So as soon as we can see here, if the PEGA will say if we rejection, then the PEGA will evaluate other conditions too. So all these things, you can do that. And again, if you'll say, okay, continue, you can see here another sub condition got added over here. And then here also, if I'll say continue, then another, so if this is equals to reject and this condition was true, then continue. And then, finally that you can say it as a return, or else you can say it otherwise, like that. So it's depending upon your requirement, basically, we can just go ahead with all these things. So this is the condition, let's say you have realized that my condition is too big, it's gonna be I have to different sets of properties that I have to use and all these things. Then at that cases, basically you can go ahead with your decision tree. So, but here we have a simple use case, like approve reject is equals to reject. So let's return it as a no. And then otherwise, let's say otherwise means a no only. If let's say none, if it doesn't meet any requirement like that. So I have just saved the condition. Okay. That's it. So now again, in the yesterday we have tested our decision table, right? So in the similar way, we can test our decision tree as well. I mean, you can just click on the action button, click on run, and then here we go. So now you just give some value here, run again, and you can see here that decision tree is returning no. And then in a similar way, like let's say if I'll say approve, so it's returning yes. That means like our condition is basically, I mean, it's working. Decision tree is working. So now what we have to do is like we'll go to this flow, and then okay, and then just to make sure that like this return is coming from our decision table. So I'll say dt. Let's say d uh, d3 yes, and I mean just to make sure like that d3. Okay, and then here we go. Then I'll just delete this, right click, I'll delete this connector, I delete this one, and then here instead of decision type as a decision table, now that we have decision tree, so let's select decision tree, and the decision tree name is this only, and submit. So you can see here like again the very similar way like we used to get, right? So in that way we are getting our two shapes like so here the PEGA has written the we have three here, right? So again like the PEGA has written three, like that. So let's delete one of them, I mean, because this is something like no means no here. Okay, it's no, and then if it's approved, then just connect it here. Oh, sorry, I have put wrong condition. So if it's yes, like if let's say loan is approved, then I don't have to move to the rejection stage, right? So then I have to move to this one. So yep, so this is for yes, and this is for no. Okay, so it's result, and like that, so it will just give you. So by default, if I just delete everything and then I'll paste it again. So unnecessarily that pega is giving three conditions, so I just made it two. Okay, let me refresh this. Okay, and now I delete this one, and then double click decision tree. Decision tree name is this. Then that's it. If it's no, then we have to go to our rejection stage. If it's yes, then it will just our normal flow. That's it. So let's save it. Okay, so now we have saved it. So now, and then if you want, then you can change this label to no. If and then here you can just change this label to yes. That means like is loan approved. So if no means like we are moving up. I mean we are jumping it to the another. We are jumping it to that rejection stage. And then and here if it's we are just carry on like So now let's test that our condition whether it's working fine or not. So now let's say if okay, so now let's say this time I'm rejecting it. So in the rejecting, I'm putting some comments. Okay, so now it got rejected. And then let's try let's test our approval scenario as well. So, so let's say this time I'm approving it and submit, and then it's got resolved rejected. And of course, if you want to verify our email, then it's like, email is also that correct, like, and where that we have to go. And also on the top, we can see that, which stage that it got executed. So through that also, we can get to know that, our process basically it's working fine, or that decision that we have included, the decision tree that which we have included, it's basically like, it's working, working fine. So this is what, like, we have decision tree, and this is how, like, you can set a different type, and especially, and you can call your decision table also from here. Like, for example, if you want to call a decision table, then what you have to do is, like, you can just go to the configuration tab, and then from here, one of the tab is like allow selection of call decision option. So now if you check this one, so now let's say in that written, so in this one, so you can see here in the written. Earlier, like if you have noticed, right, we used to get only return continue otherwise. But here you can see that we can call another decision tree, or we can call another map value, or a decision map rule, or we can call any other decision table as well. Let's say for example, if approve reject value is equals to reject, then let's say I want to call another decision table to evaluate other conditions. That decision table will evaluate that return yes, no, and all the stuff. So in that case, like, you can do that. So just for your information, I've just told you, like, you can do this as well. Like, you can basically call this, like, I mean, by clicking on this the configuration tab, by clicking on this checkbox, basically, like, you can call other, like, decision table, decision tree. You can call another decision tree and map value. Okay. So now I'll just close. Okay, so let me just close this. Okay, so this is something like, we have it. So that is what I've said. Like, if you have different sets of properties that you want to configure as per your requirement, then, you can easily go ahead, with your decision tree. If you have the same sets of properties, like, simple, like, tabular format, then no need, going it with the decision tree, because, decision table is basically it's easier to maintain. Basically, like, if you yesterday we have seen, right, the tabular format is there and all these things. So you can basically, do that. So now if you'll see the decision table, yeah, this is that we have it. And then even you can export this to an Excel also. You can see here on the top there is a button called as export to Excel. So you can see here in it got, exposed to Excel also. So it's a, for example, you want to send this report to the customer saying that, what are the conditions that, you're returning yes, no, or, eligibility criteria and all the stuff. So you can just export to Excel, and you can send that report to, through an email and all the stuff. So like that. Okay. Okay, and then the last rule that we have is decision map, or a map value. Okay, so this one that, you want to go ahead, like, for example, let's say, if you want to evaluate the condition based on one or one or two properties, maximum of two properties. That's it. Then you can go ahead. Like, for example, let's say, like, I want to know that, okay, let's say longitude. Let's say longitude is, let's say the longitude value is 42, and then the latitude, is equals to 32. Then the city name should written as Chennai, like that, and then whereas if the longitude is 42 and then the latitude is 42, then the Hyderabad, the city name is Hyderabad. Our country should written as India, or otherwise it should be UK, like that. That is something, based on two only, right? Something that, you can do evaluate. But whereas if you think that, something that you can evaluate, like, based on three or four properties, then at that time, your decision tree, or this, like, your sorry, decision map, or a map value, will not be a sufficient, it will not be a good rule, for that. For that, in that case, you can go ahead with the decision table, basically. Okay, so I'll show you the practically. So till now, any confusion, like, before we go in detail of this map value rule? Okay, great. Okay, so now let's say, okay, so now we have decision table, decision tree, when rule. So now we have another type of decision which we have, which we'll see today, which is map value. Yeah, here we go. So now again, same thing, like, evaluate. No. Okay, okay, so this is how your decision map or map value rule looks like. So you can see here, right? I mean, I've told you, right? And maximum two properties only you can evaluate. I mean, for example, let's say if you want to evaluate whether, okay, like that person is eligible for getting a driving license or not. For that you have to check whether, okay, like, he should be Indian citizen, his age should be greater than 18, then, like, and then, then that written exam should be, he should pass that written exam, and then he should not be handicapped, like that, first, like, all those things, like, I mean, we have criterias, right? I mean, the different sets. Or for example, for getting a credit card or not, like, we can just check, okay, that, that particular person, should be again Indian citizen and all that, he should be, his civil score should be good. And then, there are many criteria that we on which we can evaluate, basically, like, the particular conditions, yes or no. But, so, and all these things. But there are some situations, I mean, let's say if in your requirement, there is, you have got, okay, like, for example, let's say you got that, okay, like, if, let's say, you want to return the let's say manager name only, based on two properties, like, let's say, like, if it's IT department, then who is the IT department head, so let's say you want to return, okay, ABC is a person, like, who is the head of IT department. Admin department head is, like, let's say test is that, admin department head, finance department head is, like, something like that. So that, if you, yeah, I mean, same thing we can evaluate with the decision table as well, and the same thing you can evaluate with the decision map also. Like, it's up to you, like, which rule that you are comfortable in, then you can go ahead with that. And in future, let's say they'll say that, no, no, an IT department also, like, we have a different department, and IT also, if it's a PEGA, then, head is ABC, and then if it's a technology is Java, and then, our like, the person is different, like, is a different person, like that. So again, depending upon this, we can evaluate, like, I mean, again, either you can go with the decision tree and all these things. So, you know, so all these things, and then, okay, so then, like, so here, so now let's see, once you have gone, and here, you'll get a matrix kind of a structure. I'll show you, like, you can see the first tab is itself the matrix. Okay, so now here, like, you have to just give that property name. Okay, so on which you want to calculate, basically. So for example, let's say just give the property name, and then the property name is approve, reject. Okay, and then let's say another property that let's say we want to validate is, let's say, does he has any past loan? Okay, let's say, for example. So now, I've done that. And then if you go to the matrix structure, you can see here, the PEGA has added, option is approve, reject, and the any past loan. Okay, and then if you want to if you want to add some rows, so you can just add it here also, or else you can go to the configuration tab, and then you can just configure rows. So in the configure rows, let's say if it's equal to approve, and if it's equals to reject. Okay, here it is, and submit this. And here also the configure values, if it's equals to yes, no. Okay, and then if you go here, then you can see here, if let's say, if that a loan representative said yes, loan application approved, and then, if he has taken any past loan, then also, like, if we can say that, no, I mean, this guy, like, he's not eligible for any loan. And then any past loan, let's say, and he has not taken any past loan, and the bank representative said is approved, that means yes, he is approved, loan is approved. Then in a similar way, like, I mean, that a bank representative said no, if that application got rejected, and then does he has, if he has any other loan, yeah, of course, like, they know. And then again, if it's no, so, like, if the bank representatives are reject, and then, if he has any other loan, no. So in the only one case that, I mean, we can say that, he is eligible for a loan only when the bank representative should approve with the application, and also that a particular person should not have any past loan. Let's say, for example, I already have educational loan, then I cannot avail any other loan. I mean, let's say that's our bank policy. Okay, so like that. So that is something, you can call it a matrix kind of a structure. That is what I've given example, right? So for example, let's say here you have longitude and here you have latitude. And you can configure all the values. For example, if the latitude is 42 and 32, then you can return the city name is Chennai. If the latitude is 32, 42, then city name is Hyderabad. Then otherwise, if it's a different latitude, different longitude, then the city name is Bangalore. Something like that, only based on two properties. And now, if we got a requirement saying that no, we want to add one more column here to evaluate, let's say, his salary should be greater than 1 lakh rupees, something, one more column that we want to add. So here you can't do that. Like, so as I said, right, map value means maximum of two property that you can evaluate. Even if you want, you cannot do that. You can see here already, like, minimum one property that you can evaluate and the maximum of two that you can evaluate your conditions. Then, in that case, you have to go ahead for that. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible, but you have to configure a decision table for it, for adding a three properties. So like that, so that is that you have it. So choose decision map only, or this rule only when you are confident that in the future also, I mean, it cannot exceed, like, our conditions cannot exceed more than two values or two properties and all this stuff. So then only, just go for that map value. Otherwise, if you have a doubt, like, okay, no, I mean, these are the two conditions, but in future, because policies, rules can change, right, and the bank can change their rules. Yeah, I know. And every year or for example, if the fraud happens in you, then by looking at that fraud, the bank can change their policies and all these things. So in that cases, the bank can add few more columns saying that, okay, like, if he's a defaulter, or if he's not an NRI, if he's not this, that, something like that, is can added it. So unnecessarily it will be a rework, right? I mean, you have to delete this rule, and then uh, you have to configure a decision table, and then again this decision map, then you might have configured in a flow, then again you have to change this to decision tree and all these things. So something, or sorry, decision table and all these things. So it's better, like, I mean, go ahead with this rule only when if you're confident enough. Yes, like, in future also, I mean, this condition, it cannot be more than two condition. I mean, that evaluation cannot happen more than two condition, and like that, then only that, you can do that. So in the similar way, like, if you want to call it from a decision table, sorry, decision shape, just double click on it. I didn't click. I'll save it, and then just say, here it is a map value, and then if you choose this one, here we go. Okay, so though, like, again, like, whatever that yes no, basically, like, will return it, from that PEGA, like, based on that whatever that you're returning it. So yeah, so this is that, like, we have our decision map value. I mean, nothing else that I have it. So any question, concerns, or confusion from anyone, because we have time. So if you have any questions, concerns, we can just clarify it.